Chris Sewall here, baseball card collector, investor, dealer in that order. Welcome everyone. Regular rollers time. Rolling. Keep those collectors rolling. Let's roll. We'll start with one sent in by J-Rab or Jake maybe. Wrote, first time posting for regular rollers and I found something I believe for $8 is a steal. I was scrolling on eBay and found a 2003 Leaf 24th National Atlantic City Press Proof embossed Derek Lee 1 of 1 with only a few minutes left. I was shocked by this as a 101 for anyone is typically pretty tough to find. For a 2-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove winner, Silver Slugger winner, and a 2003 World Series winner, I thought this was a deal I couldn't pass up. Just curious on your input and enjoy watching your videos. Thank you for the kind words. And yeah, this is a great deal at $8. Basically any 101, well, I guess I shouldn't see any 101, but most 101s are going to be a great buy at $8, and especially one that's 20 years old and of a solid player. Next up, we have two whatnot submissions, one sort of pro whatnot, one anti whatnot. First one sent in by Ryan, wrote, I'd never ventured into the world of whatnot before, thought I would download the app and give it a try. Safe to say it's the worst decision I ever made. I spent about 50 pounds on a break and ended up with nothing of note but a bunch of base cards I don't really want. I wandered over to eBay and stumbled upon this 2013 Nolan Arenado gold patch auto at a 50 for 41 pounds all in. I think this was an absolute steal. I also got this 1965 Topps batting leaders card for under $2. I appreciate the good condition isn't great on this one, but two very notable Hall of Famers. I don't know about you and your audience, but I would personally much rather have a rookie Arenado and some classic vintage over modern bulk any day of the week and for less money. I appreciate the appeal of whatnot for low-cost gambling at a big rookie hit card, but it's not for me. Safe to say I quickly deleted the whatnot app and will continue to scour eBay for bargains. And on the flip side of that, this one was sent by Raphael, who wrote, I bought all these cards off whatnot through live auctions. I paid $180 shipping and tax included. I found that if you can be patient, you can find whatnot streams with a small crowd and some guy who is selling a collection they bought from someone. I asked, do you have any Clayton Kershaw rookies? And they dug into a 900 count box and just started all the auctions at $1. There were 11 more people in the room and only 3 of them knew how cheap these were selling for. Anyway, I thought this would be a good change of pace from the eBay deals on regular rollers. I also got the 2006 Topps Red Refractor Beltran at a 90 for only $2. Wow, yeah, this is a, I've never used whatnot myself, but this is a total bargain at $180. There is way more value than that here. This one sent in by Scott, who wrote, in preparation for the 2026 World Cup, I've been scooping up notable Christian Pulisic cards. I was at a card show recently and things were winding down. At one of the last dealer tables I visited, something caught my eye. A raw 2016 Panini Select Christian Pulisic rookie mezzanine. The one with him wearing the Team USA jersey. I love this card. Not only is it his rookie, but it also shows him in a cool pose with his USA kit on. It was priced at $35, which was standard market value for the base version raw. I almost walked since I already have it, except the light was hitting the side from one side, and I could have sworn it had a sort of a rainbow-type shimmer. I asked if I could inspect it closer, and sure enough, it was an obvious silver, except that it didn't say Prism anywhere on the back, and it's pretty known that all prisms, including silvers, are noted with Prism labels somewhere on the back. This made me skeptical as I was no longer 100% sure, but I did end up buying it. This is where it gets interesting. My research department uncovered 2 notable facts. For some reason, the 2016 Panini Select Soccer set does not indicate Prism anywhere on the back of the card. This includes the silvers. This set is flanked by 2 releases that do indicate Prism on the backs, 2015 and 2017, which makes the 2016 Select Prism label omission that much more strange. People have really come to lean on the Prism label to help identify variations if they aren't sure, and then when they're sort of trained to look for them and they don't see it, I can see how this could be a very easy mistake to make. But I would point out that this isn't likely the first-year finest or first-year Prism in basketball, where they hadn't yet started using refractor and Prism designations. This seems to be a weird outlier set falling between 2 years that do use the Prism label. Indeed, I had scored a Pulisic Silver Prism. The silver versions go for a couple $100 raw, but I was lucky enough to snag it for $35. What I'm even more excited about is the potential of grading. I looked it over carefully, and it looks very clean. Next one is sent by Corey, and it's about a vintage player, and I was not aware of this. Very cool. He wrote, I recently acquired a 1963 Steve Dalkowski rookie. The seller was asking $150 and accepted my offer of $100, which seemed okay for an SGC6. Dalco is considered by nearly everyone who saw him pitch to be the hardest thrower in baseball history. Here's an excerpt from his Wikipedia. Dalkowski's wildness frightened even the bravest of hitters. Ted Williams faced Dalkowski once in a spring training game. Fastest ever, said Williams. I never want to face him again. Longtime umpire Doug Harvey also cited Dalkowski as the fastest pitcher he had ever seen. Nobody could bring it like he could. Estimates of Dalkowski's top pitching speed abound. Cal Ripken Sr. guessed that he threw up to 115 miles per hour. Most observers agree that he routinely threw well over 110 miles per hour. Dalkowski was enshrined in baseball's Shrine of Eternals in 2009, meaning his name will forever be remembered. I've always found his lore interesting and decided to pick up his only Topps card, which has apparently become very popular recently. This was sent in by Robert, who wrote, Iowa basketball star Caitlin Clark breaking the college scoring record stirred up renewed interest this season. Her 2022 limited edition cards are already fetching 5 figures. Among records Clark has passed in the Big Ten, career scoring record for both the men and the women was set in 1996 by Katie Smith at Ohio State with 7,885. Katie Smith retired in 2013. Katie's 1999 Fleer Ultra rookie has been slabbed 90 times by PSA with just one graded 10. PSA 9s are rather scarce, while online offers for PSA 8s range from 25 and up. Instead of waiting for a 9, I bought an 8 and used the leftover money to buy her 1998 Reebok Columbus Quest. So far, PSA has graded it just 6 times with only 110. By chance, I found it 2 years ago for $350. Her 1999 Hoops Minnesota Lynx card now has 16 PSA 10s and its prices are cooling. Katie won gold medals at the World Cup in 1998, 2002, and 2006. She also played in 3 Olympics, wearing USA jerseys and winning gold medals in 2000, 2004, and 2008. This picture shows her first Olympic gold medal. Jesse Owens is the only Ohio State athlete alum to win more gold medals, 4 in 1936. In 2018, Katie was inducted into both the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame and the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. In 2022, she gave the commencement address at the Ohio State University, joining a small club of OSU graduation speakers that includes 4 U.S. presidents, Gerald Ford, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. At Logan High School, an hour southeast of Columbus, Katie drew enthusiastic crowds and helped inspire construction of the Katie Smith Basketball Arena. This one was sent by Aiden, who wrote, just wanted to share a recent eBay score I made, although I hesitate a bit because some may feel it falls into a moral gray area. I saw this card come up and I couldn't hit the buy it now button fast enough. An obvious listing mistake by a professional seller that is evidently not knowledgeable about this particular card, as it was priced like a standard version and not the last name in white variation that it is. The back of the label also states that it was part of the Ray Cooper's collection, whatever that's worth. All in, the card cost me 230 Canadian dollars. This is now the most valuable card in my small, modest collection, and I'm very happy to own it. Yeah, I'm going to let viewers comment on this one. This is a 1969 Topps Mickey Mantle, and this is a very, very rare variation where his last name is in white. It's supposed to be in yellow, and clearly the seller was not aware of this, as card is worth a whole lot more than the price here. So do you feel like the buyer is in the wrong in any way for just buying this card for the listed price, or are they morally obligated to sort of inform the seller that they've made a mistake, or is it really on the seller and the buyer's just taking advantage of a good opportunity? Would love to hear people's thoughts on this in the comments. Sticking with moral gray areas, this was sent by Thomas, who wrote, I always consider the question of fault of the seller versus the buyer versus no one to blame as an intriguing question. Here's another one that caught my eye. I've attached a picture of what I describe as a massive Michael Jordan card sale for $150 for what is probably at most a $5 card. The seller is selling more than one copy of the card under the same listing. The big ethical question, again, is this on the buyer or the seller, is that the seller puts right in the title of an obvious raw card that it's a PSA Gem Mint 10. So that's most of what I'm asking you about. Once again, what are your thoughts on declaring a raw card a PSA Gem Mint 10? So for me personally, this is a fairly easy one. The seller is clearly in the wrong here. This is not a PSA card. It's not a Gem Mint 10 card. Those words have no business being in the title, as they do not describe the item being sold. So they don't belong there. Clearly, this is intentionally trying to mislead. And yeah, the buyer obviously is, needs to do a little more research, but it's not really fair to assume a buyer is a knowledgeable sports card person. It could be anyone, and they don't know any better. And the seller is clearly looking to take advantage of that. I think eBay would certainly side with the buyer in this case if they decided to return the item and opening up a case because the item was not as described. And it's not as described. This is not a PSA Gem Mint 10 card. And one more sort of moral gray area, I guess. This was sent by Steve, who wrote, I'm curious your thoughts on this card that was sold a few days ago. It's a homemade jersey card using an existing card, in this case a 2005 Fleer Ultra, with a piece of jersey inserted into it. Now here's what gets interesting. They provide multiple photos and provenance for the jersey with a QR code you can scan and get more info. So this is the opposite of the vague jersey cards that the major brands are putting out these days. Reminds me of how Playoff used to do it with memorabilia cards in the early 2000s, showing pictures of jerseys on the back from which the swatch was on the front was taken. That should have been the standard for all manufacturers moving forward, but unfortunately it went the opposite way. Anyway, back to the card at hand. I'm kind of torn because it's a homemade card, which are generally no good for the hobby, but whoever made it is providing much better info about the memorabilia than any other major brands do in 2024. Also, nowhere in the listings does the seller call it Fleer Ultra or 2005 card, so that makes it better as well. Curious your thoughts. So this is from a company called Jersey Fusion, who I guess is on the rise. I've bought in a few collections recently, and there were a number of these cards in it. And I mean, they're well done. I guess they take a card and then they buy a game used jersey of that player and cut it up and put a little patch on the card, and then they fuse it into their own case. Like this case, you see, it's like a PSA holder. You can't just open it. You'd have to basically smash it to open it. And then they serial number it. This one's out of 10. And then, yeah, they provide a QR code on the back, which gives you information about the jersey and what game it was from, and other sort of interesting stuff. And so I think there's a little more to it than just like a guy in their garage. And if you go on eBay and type in Jersey Fusion, there's tons of listings of these. So, it's not for me at all. Like, this isn't something I would be interested in, but I guess they're becoming more credible. So eBay certainly doesn't seem to have a problem with it. I guess I don't really have a problem with it either, other than, it's just not something I would be interested in. And I'll finish on a vintage bargain. This was sent by Nate the Great, who wrote, I've wanted a Lou Alcindor card for a long time, but they are usually a bit out of my budget. I'm not a big fan of the oversized cards, so I concentrated on the 71-72 set. Finally saw this one for $54.99. I offered $35, and the seller came back at $39. $42.32 all in, and it's mine. The card has amazing eye appeal. Centering is great. No creases or surface issues. The 1.5 grade is because someone wrote Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the back. From the front, it looks amazing. I love the deals you can get on iconic cards in low grade. Maybe it could be the start of a new category called Low Grade Bargain of the Week. And yeah, I agree with everything you've said. This card has great eye appeal for a one. Look, I mean, perfect centering there. And yeah, the writing on the back is going to, plummet the technical grade. But if if you just want to use the card for presentation purposes, it looks way better than a 1.5. And I mean, you're talking about a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, third-year card here for whatever you said, $42. Great way to spend that sort of money in the hobby, in my opinion. But that's it for this week's regular rollers. Hope everyone enjoyed. And the butterfly, that's old. Let me see the sports card roll. Thanks, everyone.